1 year, 1 month, 21 days, and 14 hours. What is that? That's 10,000 hours. Yeah. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to go from total disaster to the master. Ha-cha. With the 10,000 hour rule. Now, of course, we talk about the breakdown in hours, but we're not a monk living out on the mountain, right? So most of our day is spent doing our daily task. And how do we get isolated training and practice in order to fill up those 10,000 hours? Now, of course, the book that is from, the Outliers book, people debate whether or not that is true science of 10,000 hours. I'll say I'm not going to look that deep into it. I think really what's important is to understand that what that is, it's a generalization of practice, 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 right? You got to put in the time. You got to put in the effort. So let's go ahead and break that down. We've talked about the quantity. You got to get to 10,000 hours. But is it enough? Is it enough to get to 10,000 hours? Well, it's not just about the quantity. You also need quality. So how do you increase the quality while keeping the quantity? Other factors to consider. You're going to have a good teacher. Not just a teacher who understands what it is that you want to learn, but you also need a teacher who understands your needs as a student. Great. You're going to need deliberate practice. Okay? What that means is you're going to have to sit in your space, whatever that space happens to be, and you're going to have to choose what it is that you're going to work on. Now, this is called the Charlier cut. And you're going to have to slowly go through this move repetitively until you can work your way up and you can have the function of the hand to go from the Charlier into the one-handed riffle. Now, that's a level 1 move to a level 10 move. And you got to spend that time getting to there. Now, that's deliberate practice. That means that you're isolating your time to focus on the skills directly, not indirectly. Not like you're not watching a show at this point. You are literally dedicating time specifically to the task of the skill, deliberately paying attention to the technique and the moves that you're isolating. Now you're going to want to take it to individualized instruction. What does that mean? You already have the teacher. You already have the deliberate practice. Now, you're going to have a mentor or that teacher who isn't just teaching you in front of the group, but they're going to be standing there watching you do your moves. And they're not going to be generalizing, like say I'm doing the Charlier cut, and they're not going to talk about how to, if you get stuck here, you're going to want to create a T and you're going to want to push, and you can open that up into a triangle and do this cut and all that. No, what they're going to talk about is, I noticed with your hand size, you're going to want to push towards the fingertips more so you can get more of that base here towards the palm. And that's going to open up your hand a little bit more. So they're going to isolate the exact things that you need. And that's why you're going to need individualized instruction, coaching, one-on-ones. No matter what task it is that you're trying to learn, you're going to want mentors that can see firsthand what it is that you're struggling with. So now we have different levels of expertise. That's another problem, because without a mentor or a teacher, how do you know when you've achieved the next belt, the next color? How do you know that you're ready to move to the next level? How do you know you're an expert? How do you even know? Oh, I had 10,000 hours. That means I'm a master. Well, I got 15,000 hours. I'm a grandmaster. What does that even mean unless you're testing your knowledge and skills? And you may even need to change teachers too. You might have to go from this teacher to this teacher. You might need to get another mentor to move up to the next level. You got to be a part of the community, which is an important side note, that when you're learning something like this, you need to have access to what it is that you're doing on a regular basis, because it needs to be a part of your lifestyle. It needs to be a part of who you are because it needs to be ingrained in you. Like if using a topic like, let's say you want to be a blade master, right? It's just isolation of thought here. If you're going to be a blade master, then you need to have a blade on your person at all times, right? That's just fantasy lore, right? Now, this next topic is going to go back to what we were talking about with having a teacher of quality. You need to learn how to learn, and this is so important and so relevant. What does that mean, though? It means that you should have a good quality teacher who understands the different techniques to the brain and how neuroscience works, because you might be an auditory learner, you might be a visual learner, you might be a hands-on learner. There's so many different things that you have to consider when it comes to learning, that you have to know how to learn effectively. And that goes into the quality of your learning. Emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence? No. You're not supposed to have any emotions. Why do you need emotions? Well, let's talk about it. In my craft, in my vocation, is as a magician. It's my job to control your emotions in a positive way, to make you feel a certain way as I'm performing and projecting my craft. So if I don't know anything about emotion, how am I supposed to know how to make you feel? Like, for instance, you're watching this video right now. Are you inspired by the words that I'm saying? I don't know. See, that's the thing, is that, like, if I don't know anything about emotion, then how would I know how to make you feel inspired? But more importantly, how would I know how to motivate you? Which is so important, especially as a teacher. But motivation is, how do you get to 10,000 hours if you're not motivated to keep moving forward every step of the way, to hit those milestones that you need to achieve in order to get better and better and better? So you can get to that day where you wake up and say, wow, I'm good at what I do. I'm great, actually. And I know what to do next. I know how to move forward. When you have that confidence and motivation to continue to push and push, it's what we need, right? So those are the 3 principles of practice. We're talking about emotions, not only your emotions, but others, but we want to know about your emotions. We want to know about, how do you feel today? Do you feel good? Because if you don't feel good, then you're probably not going to be motivated to learn something new. So emotions are very important. Mental practice is so very important. Meditations and things like that. Now, it might not be for everybody, but let's try an exercise. Let's say you want to learn how to play basketball. Let's say you want to learn how to shoot a ball, right? So first thing you want to do is let's say you imagine the ball. Imagine that you've got the basketball in your hand. Okay, I got the basketball. Now you're dribbling. You're going to come up, line yourself up for your shot, get your arm nice and square, and then swish. You get your nice angle on there, the right amount of power, everything that goes into that. You want to mentally prepare yourself, because I guarantee that when, like, LeBron James or Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan, whenever they went up for that shot, when they knew, they didn't need to watch the hoop. They could run back. They could head back to the other side, because they're like, got it, moving on, because they knew their craft. They knew exactly, because they lined up that shot before hundreds, thousands of times in practice. They ran the lines. They did the drills. They did what they needed to do in order to be the best. Now, let's take a quick break back to the Outliers book that I mentioned earlier, where the 10,000 hour rule comes from. Now, what it was based on elite violinists before they hit 20. So if you're under 20 watching this, you got to get to your 10,000 hours as fast as you possibly can. Now, that doesn't mean that that was a poor way to say that, right? Because you want to have quality of practice. But what I mean by that is, start early. Find the people that you need to find to surround yourself in order to be good at these things. Now, if you're over 20, don't worry about it. You can start your 10,000 hours right now. Now, of course, if you are into magic, you can start right now by subscribing to the channel so that you can catch the next video when we're talking about magic, learning some magic, some resources that you may want to pick up for magic. So that's how I can help you if you're into magic. Otherwise, if you're into learning how to practice, then this is still some valuable information for you. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is this. This is a great approach no matter what you're doing. You want to ask yourselves the W's, the 5 W's. What, where, why, who, and when. Very important things, right? So let's talk about the when. It's pretty easy. So when are you going to practice? Set up some time. Doesn't have to be the same time every day. Let's say you want to start working out because practicing for your body, right? To make yourself healthy. Set up that time. Be as consistent as possible because consistency is the magic to success. Consistency is 100% the magic of success. There, full stop. That's all you need is to be consistent. But when are you going to practice? When? Schedule it. Figure it out. Where? Where are you going to practice? Do you have a safe space? Do you have a sanctuary? Where are you going to be when you practice? Very important. You need to know when. You need to know where. Because let's say you're trying to focus on something in front of the TV. You can practice in front of the TV. There's nothing that says that you can't practice your moves in front of the TV because you want to work on your muscle memory. Let's say you're playing guitar. Let's say you're playing violin. Maybe you're working out in the living room. You got your weights while you're watching TV. There's nothing that says you can't do all of that. Go for it. Do it. But make sure you're setting aside deliberate time to focus on new skills and to continue to build your craft and then practice that in front of the TV later on. So where are you going to practice? You got to have a dedicated space. Let's say you're going to the gym. Maybe you had a home gym. You have to have a dedicated space where I'll use this analogy, right? So you walk into a classroom at school and you notice that all on the walls is all things that correlate with that class. And what that does is it puts you into your mental, it's called I forgot what it's called. Brain. See, look at that. It's actually about the brain for memory, right? So it's your mind palace, right? So basically what that means is that when you walk into your mind palace, you want to set it up so that you can kind of remember things based on the different rooms of your mind palace. It's great for memory. Well, having that in the classroom already takes out the mental work because now you're assigning tasks. When you're in that room, your brain is now brought back to the time when you learned all those things. So what happens when you're moved to a different room to take the test? Gone, right? Okay. So have a place to practice. What are you going to practice? What kind of videos are you going to do? What kind of performance are you going to do? What are you going to work out that day? You know, these are all things that you're going to want to plan and to schedule ahead of time so that you know when you get there that you're not taking all your time up trying to figure out what it is that you're doing. You want to know ahead of time what you're going to be practicing. Why? Why? Now, this could be a couple of different whys, but let's keep it pretty simple. 3 principles of practice. One of them was motivation. So let's just say why. Why are you practicing? What's your end goal? Why? Why are you doing it? Well, maybe your why is, so like for me, for instance, why do I practice? Well, what if I want to be successful on YouTube so that this can be my main job? What if I want to, maybe I want to be a magician so I want to be able to perform someday. Or, well, I need to play guitar. I need to learn this chord so that I can combine it with this other thing so that I can then play this song. And now you're talking about layers and you're talking about levels and you're talking about building one skill and one technique into another. And that's the why. It could be a small thing or it could be a large thing. It could be a part of the puzzle or it could be the whole puzzle. But there's always a why in there. And so you want to break that down to what's my why for today? What's my why for my current mindset. And then what's my why for the whole thing? Why am I here? Why do I exist? All these things. And then who? Who's your teacher going to be? Who's your mentor? Who are you practicing for? Who are you? All important. Now, the last thing we always throw in is how. Why? I don't know. I don't know how made it in there, but the whole point of the video is how to go from total disaster to the master, and we made it all the way full circle. So just remember to take all the things that we talked about today and really stay consistent. You want to focus on your emotional well-being. You want to practice. You want to mentally practice, and then you want to stay motivated and stay consistent. All these things are very important. So thank you, everybody. And remember, stay positive, stay active, and stay awesome. And hopefully, we see you in the next one.